Hello everyone, and welcome to my latest blog. The last blog that I did, video blog, was called The Angry White Christian Conservative Male. And I wanted to kind of do a follow-up to that because I did get quite a bit of comments and messages regarding that last commentary that I did. I really didn't want to dive into this issue again, but I'm compelled because of some of the things that have been happening within the last few months. Mainly today, Professor Gates, who was arrested in his own home by a police officer by the name of Officer Crowley. He, I don't know how many of you who are watching this know the story, but pretty much there was a 911 call that it looked like two gentlemen were trying to break into a house possibly. So the officer showed up over there. It just happened to be the home of a very well respected professor throughout the world who just happens to be African American. A few words were exchanged between the officer and the professor. Once the officer found out that the professor was indeed the resident or the owner of that home, it should have been over. But instead, Professor Gates was arrested for disorderly conduct, which was later dropped. But there's been a whole controversy because Barack Obama was asked at a press conference about it, and he said that the Cambridge police acted stupidly, which most would agree. You don't arrest an old man with a cane, a professor who's in his own home, regardless of what the guy says. The guy had just come home from a trip, he was tired, and he probably was maybe even verbally abusive. That nobody really knows. But today, Officer Crowley, Professor Gates, Vice President Biden, and President Obama all sat together over a beer to discuss everything and to try to move forward from the situation. What my blog, primarily what I want to focus on today, isn't so much of that incident. Everybody has their own opinion as far as what's going on there, what went on there. What my opinion is not really what I want to discuss, but I will briefly say that I wouldn't accuse Officer Crowley of being a total racist or whatever, or racist at all. But I think he did, which most officers do typically. They have a short fuse when it comes to minorities, and there was some racial profiling, I believe. But anyway, what I want to talk about is the media, and the Fox News Network in particular, and some of the conservative talk show hosts that have been talking about this, along with how it relates to politics and our president. There was another officer who's part of the Cambridge Police Department named Justin Barrett. And he, I guess, was outraged over some article that someone had wrote, and he sent them an email calling Henry Louis Gates, the professor, a banana-eating jungle monkey. He came out on Larry King today apologizing and saying that he didn't mean to offend anybody. I'm kind of tired of hearing this because you have, people like Imus, that cartoonist who was drawing police shooting a monkey, and I was referring to Obama, or the people with the watermelons in front of the White House and said that there's no Easter hunt, or Obama waffles and the whole Aunt Jemima thing. I'm just so tired of these racist comments, mainly by white people, and then they say, oh, I didn't mean to offend anybody, or I didn't mean to come out. I'm just tired of hearing that. And I think part of the reason why they're getting away with saying a lot of these things, like for instance, this officer, Justin Barrett, he got suspended, but I mean, he should have lost his job, in my opinion. This is a guy who's supposed to be protecting the citizens, and if you have those kind of feelings, I don't think you should be given a gun by the state to protect our citizens. But a lot of this is fueled by people like Rush Limbaugh and Bill O'Reilly and now Glenn Beck. Rush Limbaugh, let me start with him. This is some of the comments that he's made regarding to Obama and over the years. He's called Barack Obama a African American. He had a little skit where a song was called Barack the Magic Negro. Recently, he said Food safety advocates were going to go after Oreo cookies, but they might have to wait until Obama leaves, the office. Here's another comment. I mean, let's face it. We didn't have slavery in this country for 100 years because it was a bad thing. Quite the opposite. Slavery built by the South. I'm not saying, or actually slavery built the South. I'm not saying that we should bring it back. I'm just saying it had its merits. For one thing, the streets were safer after dark. Here's another comment by Rush Limbaugh when an African-American female called in and obviously wasn't agreeing with some of his rhetoric. He said, "Take the bone out of your nose and call me back." Here's another one. Who deserves a Medal of Honor? James Earl Ray, which is the confessed assassin of Martin Luther King. He also added, "We miss you, James." Despite Barack Obama and our first Puerto Rican female from the Bronx, which I'm Puerto Rican, I'm from the Bronx, Mayor Sotomayor, Judge Sotomayor, sorry. She's our first Supreme Justice, Puerto Rican woman, which is great. Despite her being the most experienced in history as far as going into that job, and despite Obama graduating from Harvard Law, Limbaugh calls them affirmative action candidates, which doesn't make any sense. He also insists that Colin Powell only voted for Barack Obama because he is black. This is a problem because you also have guys like Glenn Beck, who is now, this is a recent comment that he made a couple of days ago, Barack Obama has a deep-seated hatred for white people. Then he says, "I'm not saying he doesn't like white people. I'm saying he has a problem." This guy, I believe, is a racist. This is what Glenn Beck said about our president, Barack Obama. Despite the fact that Barack Obama's grandmother, his grandfather who raised him, most of his life, and his mother are all white people. Barack Obama is half white, if you didn't know that. But these are the things that are going on in the media right now. When you hear these conservative radio talk show hosts, which brings me to my point of the last blog and, a lot of other conversations that I've had with some people. My point to all of this and talking about all of this is there needs to be an outrage among a lot of us who don't know this information, because a lot of us, who would be offended by this are not paying attention. I've said this many times before, and I really do feel strongly about this. If there was an outrage, there would be, these people wouldn't be allowed to say these things. And I believe in free speech, but the point is, the people they're preaching to believe this crap. And what they're doing, and this is my final point, is they're fueling for some nut job to be hearing these, statements about Obama that he wasn't born in this country and he's socializing everything and he's going to ruin this country. And Sotomayor, she believes that Latin women have better judgment than white men, and all of this stuff. They are hell-bent on having, in my opinion, Barack Obama assassinated. And they're obviously doing it indirectly, but what they're doing is they're spewing this hatred and inflaming people who already have these preconceived notions of him because of the fact that he's black, and it's a problem. You had one gentleman a couple of months ago who went up and killed people with his gun because he believed that Barack Obama was gonna take away Second Amendment rights. So, these are the things that are going on, and it's only a matter of time that somebody's gonna attempt, to harm our president. I hope it doesn't happen. I voted for the guy. I think he's doing a great job, and he's got a great family, and he's a terrific role model for all Americans. But this is what they're trying to do. So anybody who's watching this, if you have an opinion, definitely leave me a comment. Constructive criticisms here. Last time I said anything like this, people were freaking out. But we can have an open dialogue, and I'll reply to anything you say. But I believe we should all just stop and pay attention to what the right wing of this American, the conservatives are saying, because I do believe that it's going to have serious consequences eventually. Thank you.